Welcome into episode 6 of Around the Felt NFC West edition. I'm your host, Colin Tong, with my little friend here, Reagan Loescher. Reagan, how are we feeling today, brother?
I am feeling like the little friend today. Thanks thanks for that welcoming. But I'm doing pretty darn good. I guess you were with, since this little friend couldn't make it out to the golf course with him today. Apparently he golfed by himself, so he shot 2 balls, so...
It was a fun day.
He was on some psycho shit today, and now he's taking it out on me, but yeah.
It was a fun day.
I digress.
All right, well, we actually have a lot of news to touch on today. It's been a very action-packed week in the NFL. Let's start off with the elephant in the room. Jonathan Taylor has gotten permission from the Colts to seek a trade. He has until Tuesday. Supposedly, there's 6 teams interested with 2 giving offers. Reagan, where do you see Jonathan Taylor ending up? Do you think he gets traded? Do you think the Colts hold on to him?
I mean, at this point, I like I've said, I don't even know what to believe anymore. This guy's in the news every single time we record a podcast.
There's something.
He's been a part of every breaking news segment. I mean, I guess at this point we gotta assume he's going to be traded to where, I don't know. I mean, as someone who has him in Dynasty, I'm hoping it's a situation where he's going to still get the same kind of volume he would get in Indianapolis, but I don't know. I mean, I'm hoping as a Jet fan, not the AFC East. I mean, it seems like Miami's a very popular destination right now that's been tossed around.
Yeah, I since our last pod, the fantasy episode, I had a draft, and I did take Jonathan Taylor. He fell to me, pick 33. So when he was staring me in the face, I don't care about the trade talks. I had to take him at that point. I would love Miami as well. I think that's a great spot for him in that offense. If you have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Warren on the outside, you can't load the box on Jonathan Taylor, and he would feast. I did see something. The Eagles are kicking the tires. My goodness, if they get Jonathan Taylor, I will be very upset.
I'm going to say a wild card team here. I don't know if the money will work out, but if they can make it work, which I think it would, because I'd imagine his contract's pretty small since he is still on his rookie deal and he was a second-round pick.
Yes.
Dallas.
Dallas has been
I think I could
around,
see Dallas.
Although Jerry Jones did say today they're fine with their running back room. They don't see any additions coming. But then again, it's Jerry Jones. You never know.
Well, I mean, Saleh said that they're fine with their running back room, and we got Dalvin Cook. So, I mean, that's just coach speak. I think and owner speak. I think they like to just say that until it's official. They don't really want to show or play any cards, and I could totally see Dallas trading for him, especially because, I mean, they really only have Tony Pollard there right now, and do we really think they're going to run him into the ground when he's coming back from that injury?
Yeah, I don't really trust 5'6" Deuce Vaughn behind him to be a viable option. So, I mean, that would be a phenomenal 1-2 punch. The problem is the Colts want a first-round pick or something of equal value for the draft package, and then it's not just paying for Taylor this year, where, a lot of teams could fit him under the cap. Yeah. Because he was a second-round pick. His cap is very minimal. Yeah. But he wants a big extension, and he probably is going to want at least $12-13 million a year, which I don't know how many teams can do that. One team that I would watch out for, because he kind of fits the timeline with what they're doing, is Chicago. They have a lot of cap space available this year and in future years. With young Justin Fields, I think that'd be a pretty dynamic pairing back there. They have Khalil Herbert and Deontay Foreman there at the moment. They drafted Roschon Johnson out of Texas. So crowded backfield, but no proven option there. I think that's an interesting one as well.
Yeah. And in other news, Brock Purdy named the starter today.
We all saw that one coming.
Yep. Sam Darnold coming in at number 2. But then in shocking news, Lance at number 3 after only playing 4 career games, I believe.
I don't even know if it's 4, man. I think he started like 2 games.
Yeah.
Because he started the week 1 last year in that absolute drowning of a game against Chicago when they lost, right? It was a downpour. And then the second game, I think he broke his ankle.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't played a ton, but either way, I mean, it's more so shocking just because of the amount of capital they gave up to go trade up for a guy. And it's
2 firsts, I believe,
it's
third and more.
Yeah, and it's not like he's been bad. He just hasn't been able to stay healthy, so we really don't know what he's all about. Oh, yeah, in his career, he's played, it looks like he's played 4 games in his career. He has a record of 2-2. So, technically he's played more than 4, but he's started 4 games in his career.
Okay.
Because they were using him early on when Jimmy was still the starter as like a weird chess piece type that got a couple of carries and stuff. But still, the fact that he's only started 4 games and they gave up what they did and now they're ready to kick the tires. They said they're fielding offers already and they're looking to move on from him. So, I mean, who knows what kind of compensation they'll get for him. But
I mean, you can't imagine much. Even teams that were really high on him before the draft, the guy hasn't played. Well, he barely played in college against poor competition, and then he hasn't played in 3 seasons, basically. So does that same assessment you had of him in college still warrant this? I don't know.
Yeah.
Especially because if Kyle Shanahan, one of the best offensive minds in football, doesn't trust Trey Lance, and he couldn't win the job there. And Mr. Irrelevant's beating him out, and even Sam Darnold, who was deemed a bust, is beating him out.
Yeah,
that's very bad. So I don't know. I mean, I think the Niners would take a third. I don't even know if they can get a third at this point.
No, it's a very valid point. So
what team do you think could take a shot on him? I mean, maybe I'm trying to think of a team with like maybe the Raiders behind
the
Jimmy
Bucks.
G,
Maybe
if he doesn't work out. Maybe the Bucks. That's a good one. I doubt Washington does. I think Howell's looked pretty good in preseason. They're going to rock with Howell.
Well, yeah, getting into Howell. I mean, I one of the big things we saw was they announced he's going to be the starter over Brissett because we saw there was some uncertainty there
as well.
But on top of that, I mean, granted, it was a lot of backups in, but he lit the Ravens up in that preseason game. And I know it's preseason, so it's kind of tough to take a lot out of it. But I mean, he was 19 of 25 for 188 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean,
it's pretty good.
He looked to fit the mold. And I mean, even when Terry McLaurin left the game early with a toe injury and the X-rays came back negative.
Yeah, it's a good sign.
Which is a good sign there. But he was targeting the crap out of Jahan Dotson, and they were moving the ball. And like I said, it's preseason, so it's hard to take a lot out of that. But I mean, he certainly fit the mold and looked like it. And when he played in the one game against Dallas last year, he looked good too. So we'll see. But also, the Ravens finally lost their streak of 24 in a row.
Yeah,
losing to Washington.
Yeah, it was bound to happen at some point. It was getting a lot of hype. So.
Shout out to Vader. He was all over Washington.
Vader was all over Washington.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know Vader, you will know him soon. Yeah, he's one of the best. He's one of the best sports bettors out there.
I believe he's 4-0 or 5-0.
5-0 in the preseason.
5-0 in the preseason.
I mean,
you see if it carries over to the real games.
You don't see that a lot. I mean, this guy has been on fire.
Yeah.
So
now that we've been talking about the Ravens, my Ravens. They bring in Jadeveon Clowney. Not a game-breaking piece, but when we touched on the Ravens, that was my biggest concern, was their depth on the edge and the interior. Yeah. So for him to come in with David Ojabo on the opposite side, I do like it a lot. He's a veteran. He's not going to get double-digit sacks, but he's still good against the run. Mm-hmm. He still warrants your attention. So I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I have no problem with this signing. I mean, I don't know if he's obviously not what he was and what he was supposed to be, but, I mean, why not take a shot on him?
Still a solid veteran.
Yeah, exactly. And then in other news, Corey Davis retires after 6 seasons. As a Jet fan, I'm kind of happy because I think he was going to get cut anyway, and he was guaranteed a lot of money still and still had a lot left on the contract. So
I don't know. The way they're talking about it, it seemed like they weren't going to cut him. And
I don't know.
Robert Saleh even said he's welcome back if he ever wants to come back. And I feel like if they wanted that cap space back, they would have released him already at this point. But maybe with Rodgers taking his pay cut, they didn't need to cut him. Davis, they still had room.
Yeah, we'll see, but that certainly opens up some more because he got a bigger contract from the Jets just 2 years ago. So that certainly is a nice thing to open up more cap space.
He's made like $58 million in his 6 years in the league. He's retiring at 28. I mean,
hey, $58 million's a lot of money.
Must be nice.
And then in other wide receiver news, we saw Jackson Smith and Jigba. He fractured his wrist and he's getting surgery on it. Or he did get surgery, and they're saying about right now they're optimistic about 3 to 4 weeks. What are you thinking there? You think he'll be out for a while? I mean, I have a take on it.
Maybe he misses the first couple games, or maybe he comes back and he's not 100%. I mean, we're going to talk about Seattle today. Yeah. I love JSN. I think he's the best receiver in this draft class. I think he's going to be a stud. He might get off to a slow start if he does, and if you have him in Dynasty or something, don't worry with the wrist. He's going to be fine. He's going to get a ton of targets. I think there's a chance he even leads his team in targets, working over the middle of the field. So.
What I expect to happen with this is the way in the NFL it works is you can put a guy on the IR for 4 games. They have a Week 5 bye, so I think they're going to throw him on the 4-game IR.
That's interesting.
And then bring him back Week 6.
So he's fully healthy.
Yeah, I think they'll hold him out the first 4.
That Week 5 bye is brutal.
It sucks, but now it's not as bad because now it opens up more stuff for this. They don't have to rush him back. He can heal properly, and then he has that bye week to get back in the game shape, and then he'll be good for Week 6. So that's what I'm predicting happens, but we'll see. I mean, it's definitely a weird injury. I mean, fracturing your wrist and then getting surgery is interesting, but
yeah.
What do I know? I'm not a doctor, and I never played NFL football, so.
The Bucks named my boy, Baker Mayfield, the starter, over my other boy from Florida. Go Gators. Kyle Trask.
What was that? What does that mean?
The little chop?
Gator chop?
You've never seen the Gator chop?
Can you do the Gator chop for the fans?
I just did it, but I'll do it again.
Like this?
I think we saw this one. Coming as well. Baker... Everything coming out of camp was saying Baker looked better. I don't think Trask will ever be a legitimate NFL starter. Baker has shown he has leadership qualities. He's been around the block, as we all know, but this is a veteran team. So I'm not surprised they went with the veteran. But then again, if things go sour, 6 weeks in, they're not good like we expected. We talk about that division.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked if they give Trask a shot in real action.
That's why I was saying they could trade for Trey Lance, too.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Trey Lance, I mean, that's actually probably the ideal spot, I would say, right now for Trey Lance.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah.
All right.
Well. And then finally, why I'm wearing the hat, the Gators doc, Swamp Kings released. Seeing a lot of mixed reviews. I will definitely like it just because I'm a Gators fan, and that's when I started watching them and loving that team. But
if you haven't watched
apparently they left out a lot of, I don't know, incidents, if you want to call them. You know, like Aaron Hernandez and
Cam Newton.
Cam Newton wasn't talked about. Thank you, Joe. Like, they left out a lot, and they want to go, like, behind the scenes and untold.
Yeah.
Supposedly it was just a propaganda for Urban Meyer and Tim Tebow.
Well, I mean,
Tim Tebow's a good guy. Urban Meyer clearly is not.
I haven't watched it yet, so I'd say we put a pin in this one, and then we'll watch it for the next episode. We can kind of break it down more when we actually watch it.
That's a good idea.
But in the meantime,
go Gators, baby.
Can I see a chop out of the Gators fan?
All right.
Who did it better? Let us know in the comments.
All right. Questions from the fans, Joe?
Yeah. Okay. Let me pull this up real quick. Sorry, I was multitasking.
Freddie Benson fell asleep on the computer over there.
No, I was just doing some homework. My bad.
Oh.
Not the right time and place, so you guys could read me out for that later. Off camera.
Want to get wrong out,
so,
boy?
We got our first question from Hugh Chavez. He wants to know, how many yards can you guys see Jackson Smith, Njigba going for, and is he worth drafting in fantasy?
I mean, now I would temper expectations. I would say he's definitely worth taking in fantasy. I think, depending on when your draft is, I'd say by the time your draft is here, if it's 2 weeks from now, his ADP is going to be a lot different than it is at the time of this recording, because I think everyone's going to adjust for the fact that he's going to miss time. I still think even if he misses the first 4 games, which I'm expecting, and he'll play 13 games at that point, I still think he'll be able to put up close to 1,000 yards in 13 games.
I agree.
So I think he's definitely worth drafting in fantasy. I mean, every year we usually see, like, rookie wide receivers. There's a decent amount of them that actually are viable for fantasy, and they take a little bit to. They always start out a little slow, but I mean, last year we saw Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave. They were both valuable. Justin Jefferson, his rookie year. Jamar Chase, his rookie year. I mean, these were startable guys, so I'd take a shot on them. I mean, I would probably lean towards taking a guy like Addison or Flowers now, but I still think he'll be viable for fantasy, and I think he could still go for 1,000 yards. What do you think?
Yeah, I think he's going to be a PPR beast. He was phenomenal after the catch in college at Ohio State, which I'll have some fun stats for you guys later on that. I'd still take him, especially in redraft leagues if he's sliding, like one of those guys where it's 15 picks after his ADP or like what he's ranked. If he's staring me in the face, yeah, I'll take him and I'll stash him because I think the upside is really high. I'm not going to reach for him, though. And this doesn't affect me if you're doing a dynasty draft, taking him in dynasty either. Not a big deal in long term.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, dynasty-wise, definitely doesn't matter long term. All right.
Kenny9714@gmail.com, a.k.a. Darth Vader, asks...
This is our boy Darth.
Will either of you guys be betting on the Giants Week 3 against the Giants?
Oh, that's a terrible... You meant against Seattle,
the 49ers,
huh?
No, they don't play Seattle. It's
49ers? Because they play Seattle Week 4.
Yeah, yes. I'll be catering that event, so if you guys are at the Giants game, come up and say hi. We got a big tailgate to be catering.
Shout out Chef Max.
Yep, Chef Max is in the house Week 4.
Kenny, I try not to wager on my New York Giants unless it's a great spot.
Kenny, why are you asking us? You're the gambler,
you're the guy that's 5-0 in preseason.
I mean, I guess you could take spread. I mean, I'm not taking money line. I mean,
I wouldn't touch him against the Niners, but I will touch him against Seattle because I have some more stats later on Seattle. Geno Smith is not good on the road outdoors. Some pretty big.
But he's coming home, dude. He's coming home.
But he's not. He's
returning back to MetLife. That was the king.
Yeah. Okay.
He took Eli Manning's job.
Yeah, that was crazy too. That he. Ben McAdoo benched him, not for Davis Webb, but
he took Sanchez's and
Eli Manning's. You're gonna piss me off. I don't want to get into it. You ruined Eli's streak.
You realize Geno Smith took the job from a quarterback that made the AFC Championship game twice, and a quarterback that made the NFC Championship twice. That's how good Geno Smith is.
Okay, don't put Eli Manning on the same level as Mark Sanchez.
Why?
Eli Manning.
I'm an unbiased Jet fan.
Make the NFC Championship. He won 2 Super Bowls. Okay, get it right.
All right, guys. I'm going to level here. Mark Sanchez is a better quarterback all the time. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Oh, boy. All right, what do we got next?
Mike asks, does Geno Smith stay hot or take a step back this year?
He is absolutely taking a step back this year.
I disagree.
He slowed down towards... I have all the splits. We'll get to Seattle. He slowed down at the end of last year.
I'll support him.
He slowed down at the end of last year. He actually wasn't as efficient as you thought he was. He had a high completion percentage, but they had a lot of big plays because they're receivers. He's taken a step back. He won't lead the league in completion percentage. He actually was pretty average in every stable metric outside of completion percentage, and teams were figuring him out towards the back end of last year. They also play significantly tougher scheduled defenses this year, so yes, Geno Smith will take a step back. And they play more games on the road outdoors this year. All going against him. He's not going to do it again. I mean, I'm happy for him. He got his contract, but he will not be the same player.
So
he will not be a Pro Bowl quarterback.
Well, I mean, he was a Pro Bowler after a lot of dropouts, first off.
I'm just saying, he's not going to be a Pro Bowler.
But, I mean, I don't think he takes a huge step back. I mean, the offense, they improved it. I mean, they went out and got 2 rookies in Charbonnet and JSN, so I think that's huge. I mean, they still got Metcalf and Lockett. I think it's a lot of the same guys.
Absolutely. They have good weapons.
And their defense is much improved, which will help him out more. So I think I think the defense is going to force a lot of more turnovers this year, putting him in more favorable positions. I don't know if his stats are the same, but I don't think even if he takes a big step back, I don't think it's a major step back. I think this is a playoff team again this year, but I'll get more into that later. All right, what do we got next, Joe?
All right, next, Jared Crampmonk says, are the Rams done?
Oh, they're toast, dude. The Rams are absolutely toast. They have 3 good players, Stafford, Kupp, and Donald, and all 3 of them got hurt last year. This team has no depth because they went all in. They traded all their picks to build up for that championship season. They had to let Jalen Ramsey go for a bag of chips this offseason. I mean, they're toast. They lost their 4 most important secondary pieces this year. They have no draft picks, so they can't rebuild their roster. There's no depth. This team is terrible.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason the win total's at 6.5. But also, I mean, they're in a weird spot. Like, what do you do with Stafford long term too? I mean,
they're right after the Super Bowl. They give him like a 4-year extension with a lot of money. Like, I'm pretty sure he's signed through 2026, and he's 35 now. We all know about the elbow injury last year. He was terrible last year, but he was really phenomenal the year before. So maybe you bank on it being the elbow, and he goes back to his form this year, and him and Cooper Kupp try to keep him in games and score a lot of points, but. Even outside of Cooper Kupp, I mean, Van Jefferson's their wide receiver too. Like, their second best option is Tyler Higbee. Their running game is bad. Their offensive tackles are bad. I mean, this team is toast.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, not much to debate you on there. Their defense outside of Aaron Donald, I mean, it's
awful.
Not a lot of stars on that defense.
It's awful. I mean, when we get to the end of the
pod, it's just lacking firepower.
We'll talk about the Rams and Cardinals. We'll probably agree on a lot. We won't spend a lot of time on those 2 teams because they're terrible.
Yeah, sorry, Jared. I know you're a big Rams fan, but...
All right, this is more of a statement, less of a question, and it's Colin looks like an 80s movie villain after they've went through their redemption arc.
Who is that from?
Markman.
I look like a... Can you repeat that one more time?
Colin looks like an 80s movie villain after they've went through their redemption arc.
Only Marty would come up with a statement like that.
I think that's pretty cool.
That is a. I don't even know. I don't even know if I should take it as an insult or a compliment. I have no idea what that means.
You do give off major bully vibes. I mean,
I'll stuff you in a locker, dude.
Yeah, there we go. He's on his redemption tour now. I mean, like Marty said, he's on his redemption tour. I mean, he went from stuffing me in lockers to pulling me out of lockers. This guy went from the biggest bully to the nerd protector.
That's factually incorrect.
Oh, he didn't give up the locker stuffing yet. He's not on his redemption tour now. He's just an 80s bully.
All right.
That's awesome.
Is that the end of the...
I got one question.
All
this
right.
is mine, and I want to know what you guys think about Kyler Murray and what the Cardinals should do with them.
Oh, boy. Okay. That's open up a can of worms.
I think they should let him go play for the Oakland Athletics. Now, I honestly think... I think Kyler's still a good quarterback, and I wouldn't punt the tires on him. I'd honestly take
I would tires. Did you just make that up?
Yeah, that's not a saying.
Kick the tires. Sorry, man. It's just a lot of football talk here. You know, I've been talking to George Eberle too much, I guess. But I don't know. Kyler's still a good quarterback to me. I don't see a reason they should get rid of him yet.
Oh, I see.
I think they should take a similar approach
one.
that the Bears took, and even if they end up being the 1 or 2 pick, go get a haul of draft picks, which they already got last year from the Texans. Keep stockpiling all those picks to build around Kyler. Because all you're doing is resetting it, and I don't think you need to do a hard reset. I think they can stay there, get a top 3 pick this year in the draft, and then use that to trade back, because one of these teams will want to come up and get Caleb Williams or Drake May, depending on where they finish.
No, the Cardinals are toast. They got to get rid of Kyler Murray.
I agree, they're toast, but I just don't know if they have to get rid of
Kyler's
Kyler Murray.
not a leader.
They do have to get rid of Kyler Murray. Yes, if you have to put a little part in your contract that you're required to watch film, I mean, he's just... I don't know. He's very pouty to me on the sidelines. He's very pouty. I hate it. They go to him. He's always like with his head down. You're never going to win a Super Bowl with someone like that.
We'll see what happens, though.
And his cap hit goes up so much. The Cardinals absolutely screwed themselves.
We'll see what happens, though, man. I mean, a lot of it... Kingsbury's gone.
Dude, I don't think
which is exactly why I think they do move on from Kyler Murray. His cap hit goes up to $51 million in 2024. They wasted the rookie quarterback window. When you extend a guy, you kind of keep the cap hit low for like 2 years before it really balloons up, and that's your window to go win. This roster is awful. You're going to be paying Kyler Murray more than about a quarter of your salary cap. And if you pass on Caleb Williams, I mean, this guy's generational, dude. I don't know. I know you don't watch a lot of college ball, but do you know who Caleb Williams is?
Yeah, he's the guy in UNC, right?
USC.
No, UNC, right? The UNC quarterback, right? And then Drake May's the USC quarterback, right?
Plus, you also have the Texans pick, so you still have another premium pick. Like, ideally, you get one, too. You go Caleb Williams, Marvin Harrison Jr., and you're ready to roll.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Marvin Harrison. Yeah,
I'd move on from Kyler Murray after this year. Unless he comes back and just, like, plays really well. But I also don't know what type of compensation you get for a guy whose cap hit is going to be through the roof, paying like a top quarterback in the league. And last year he took a big step back. We have seen at his peak though, he can be a very good quarterback.
I don't think they're in as bad of a situation as we're making out to seem. I mean, no matter what, it seems like
they have the worst defensive front in football.
No, I'm just saying their future though isn't in a bad situation because they have a lot of draft picks lined up.
They traded back.
They're either going to stick with Kyler Murray and get more picks by sticking with Kyler Murray, or they're going to go the Caleb Williams route and they'll still have that Texans pick. So I think no matter which way they go, their future is looking bright.
They do have a lot of draft capital.
Because they're either going to get... already have a lot of draft capital, so you stick with Kyler and get more, or you keep all that draft capital, get rid of Kyler, get a little more compensation, and then go get Caleb Williams or Drake May.
I will say they do have DJ Humphries at left tackle. He's a good left tackle.
So what if they finish...
They drafted Paris Johnson Jr., 6th overall from Ohio State, who I think will be a good tackle as well. So at least they have 2, hopefully, bookend tackles.
Well, what if they finish... what if they finish 2 or 3 then? Like you said, Caleb Williams you got to take. Do you stick with Kyler or you go Drake May?
That's a different question. Drake May, though, for a lot of draft people, he is a phenomenal prospect. Like I saw...
It's not off topic. I mean, it's a very viable world.
Yeah, it is viable. Through the past 5 drafts, all the ESPN draft people built rankings for where their quarterbacks would be. And it was Caleb 1, Trevor Lawrence 2, Joe Burrow 3, Drake May 4, Justin Herbert 5. And this is as prospects out of college, so disregarding completely what they did in the league. Zach Wilson was... I think he was like...
Trash list.
7 or 8.
Bad list. He should have been 1.
I think Tua was 6th.
But anyway, yeah. But so what would you do then? You go Drake May or do you stick with Kyler?
I think you can't answer that now. I mean, I think Caleb Williams is like a slam dunk. Yeah. Absolutely going to be a superstar. Whereas with Drake May, let's see it another year because Sam Howell was supposed to be.
So you don't know. So basically, you're.
I know. I'm very high on Drake May, but also a lot of it depends on if Kyler Murray comes back and he shows this young team that he can be a leader and he plays well. Then it changes the question. We're like,
so right now, maybe if they get the 1 pick, you're definitely going Caleb Williams. If they get the 2 or 3. It really depends on how Kyler's season goes and how Drake May's season goes.
Yes.
All right, so we'll put a pin in that one, and we'll come back to that in March when we're talking pre-draft.
I like that.
All right, so that breaks down our breaking news and our questions from you guys. So we're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be back with the 49ers. We'll be back with.
What's up, everyone? Make sure you check us out on our socials, Instagram and Twitter. We appreciate when you guys repost us on our stories, help spread the word a bit. But now let's get back to the episode.
Wow, Colin, that was quite the ad read. But let's get right into the 49ers now. I mean, dude, that was a hell of an ad read.
Yeah. Phenomenal. All right. The 49ers, consensus, top 2 team in the NFC. I have them going 12-5. I just hope that for once this team can stay healthy. By year, they're clearly one of the most injured teams. 2017, 10th most injured. 2018, 4th. 2019, 6th. 2020, 1st. 2021, 3rd. 2022, 9th. And in 2022, they won 12 games in a row at one point after they got McCaffrey.
Yeah.
In which and that's when QB1 and QB2 got hurt against Philly. So the fact that they have been such a dominant team throughout the stretch run, and last year winning that crazy run with Garoppolo out, coming in Brock Purdy, this team is phenomenal. They're so well built, and the fact that they have cheap quarterbacks means they can really pay up for the rest of the roster, which is why they're so loaded everywhere.
Yeah, and I mean, apparently, they changed the rule for the 49ers that now you can carry an emergency quarterback that doesn't take up a roster spot. So I guess we won't be seeing a lot of teams will probably still carry 2 quarterbacks, but they'll still have that emergency quarterback.
That emergency option.
I mean, that was so dumb, though. I mean, for any team that doesn't carry 3 quarterbacks, it's just so dumb.
Yeah, I mean, you never expect something like that to happen, especially in an NFC Championship game. So
yeah,
who knows how it worked out? I still think Philly probably wins, but we were robbed of a phenomenal game.
I mean, obviously, that you could probably make a case that this team has the most talented skill group in the NFL. I mean, when you have Debo, Ayuk, Kittle, McCaffrey, you're in pretty good company. Even Kyle Juszczyk's pretty talented.
Even Elijah Mitchell's shown to be a solid back.
That he has. I mean, when he was a starter there before McCaffrey, he was very efficient. So, I mean, the fact that they can take a little bit off of McCaffrey and lean on Mitchell's huge. And I think that helps with his season-long durability. And yeah, I'm a big Kittle guy. I hope he stays healthy.
Love George Kittle. Probably the best blocking tight end in football.
That opens up a lot. And then when you have McCaffrey and Debo, they can both play like anywhere on that field. It's it's crazy.
They're one of the few teams that can afford to pay McCaffrey $16 million a year because their starting quarterback is Mr. Irrelevant. They have Trey Lance, who probably is the biggest cap hit on their team, and he's their 3rd string. Darnold's getting paid nothing, so you can afford to have a weapon like McCaffrey, and
he's by far the most talented running back in the league.
It's worth paying a guy like McCaffrey because he's as much as a receiver as he's a running back.
Yeah,
so he's a pure weapon.
I mean, I don't think there's any running back that comes close to the receiver he is.
Yeah, he's clearly the top. I mean, Eckler's very good too, but McCaffrey's route running is so much cleaner.
Yeah, and even if Eckler's that close, Eckler can't run the ball like he can up the gut.
Yeah, absolutely. So. Can we talk Brock Purdy? Are you a Purdy believer? Is he going to continue to be a solid quarterback? Or do you see him more of just a game manager? Because we've seen, with Jimmy Garoppolo, the Niners were 38-17. Without him, they were 9-29. That was before the whole Purdy
experiment.
Stretch.
Yeah. It's what they go 8-0 with him last year.
Yeah, they won every game he started until the NFC Championship when he got hurt.
Yeah, so it's kind of hard to not be a believer. I don't know if it's more so. I would say it's probably more so the system, but then again, it's hard to say it is the system because, like you said, 9-21 with every quarterback pre-Purdy, post-Garoppolo. So I don't know. It could be Purdy could be that talented too, but it's hard to say I'm not a believer. He has all he's done is prove that he is a good quarterback. So
yeah, he's not a freak athlete. He doesn't have the strongest arm, but he is a smart player. And in Kyle Shanahan's offense, they really get their receivers in good spots by the way he kind of puts his guys in motion and with the different route concepts. The Niners are consistently one of the top teams in the league in yards after catch, and that just shows how good of a play designer Shanahan is. There's some good stats for Purdy, and there's some bad stats for Purdy. From week 13 on, when he was a starter, this is all from Sharp, he was 3rd in expected points added per play, 8th in success rate, and 11th in completion rate over expected, which are all pretty solid metrics to be good at.
Yeah.
However, where he was not good, even though this is a small sample size because the team was always winning, they had the best defense in football, all those weapons.
Mm-hmm.
He only threw 25 passes in the second half while they were trailing. He went 16 of 25, which is 64% completion percentage. No touchdowns, 2 picks. And out of 47 quarterbacks, when trailing in the second half, he was 47th in completion rate, 41st in touchdown interception rate, 37th in expected points added per attempt, and 34th in success rate. So when you have such a dominant team and you're playing from ahead, it's easier because, everything's working. You're playing from ahead. It's more conservative, conservative play calling, right?
I mean, he had 13 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown. Only turned the ball over 4 times. So obviously he's pretty smart with the ball. I mean, those are in the regular season, and then in the postseason, I mean, he had 4 touchdowns in the postseason and 0 turnovers. So I mean, in his rookie season, we saw him put up 18 touchdowns to 4 turnovers. So I mean, that's pretty impressive, and that's. Obviously, that's 9 games in the regular season, 1 where he subbed out. Or they said it's 12 games, were more like 10 games because 2 of the or 11 we'll call it because 2 of them were half games. So, I mean, 18-4, those are
it's very good.
Impressive. I mean,
that's just alarming though that if they have to play from behind and you are forced to air it out and you can't focus on the running game and have these simple concepts where you're just getting the ball in the hands of all these playmakers. Can Purdy air it out and lead a comeback? Something we haven't seen, so it'd be interesting if the Niners do get down. They have a phenomenal team, so
I don't see them being down much, but come playoff time, anything goes.
Playoff time, you're playing the Eagles. 2-minute drill, you're down 7. Like, can Purdy air it out and get you there?
Why not the Giants?
I mean, it could be the Giants, too.
Yeah, there we go. Come on, come on, be hyped. Oh, wait, it doesn't matter. We're Jet fans anyway.
I have them 12-5. What do you have them?
I have them at 11-6, so I'm pretty much just as high on them.
10.5 win total.
We both are taking over the win total. I mean, we're both expecting them to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I have them winning the division. Reagan actually...
We'll get into that in a little bit, but
Seattle, which, I
have them both going 11-6. I have them both going 11-6.
I'm curious how you have the tiebreaker going to Seattle, though. You think, because it's division record. We're assuming... Yeah.
I think they split.
The Niners are not losing the Rams. They're not losing the Cardinals all year.
I do think they lose to the Rams in LA.
You think they lose a game?
I think LA steals one. Yeah.
So you think they both go 4-2 in the division? Or
no,
do you think
I think Seattle goes 5-1, and then
Jeez. Well, San Fran has the 5th easiest strength of schedule. They were 4-1 last year against teams with a winning record, which is the best winning percentage in the league. Mm-hmm. And they won 11 games by more than 1 score, which shows they were beating the hell out of teams. Yeah. And that was even with their 3rd-string quarterback having to play for a lot of games. So this roster is absolutely loaded. I expect nothing less than
11 wins.
11 wins. Yeah. Nothing less.
The only reason I took 11 is because, I mean, I still believe in Purdy, but I do think he takes a slight step back because I think he was just on fire last year. So I'm expecting a little bit of regression. But
I think that happens with guys that come in mid-season is coaches have no game tape on them. They don't know how to game plan for them. Now that there's a full offseason, they're going to know better how to defend Purdy. Like, they've faced way more talented quarterbacks than Brock Purdy. And, I mean, sure, they've never figured out Shanahan's system yet. He's consistently one of the best play callers and best offenses in football. But, I don't know.
So who's your team MVP?
Nick Bosa. I mean, he was the defensive player of the year last year. He still has not reported to camp for a contract dispute, but there's no doubt in my mind they figured it out. He's going to be back. He's probably the best edge rusher in football. He's my defensive player of the year and MVP. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes back-to-back.
I went with Fred Warner just because...
I mean, you can't go wrong with Fred Warner. He's probably the best linebacker in football.
And I feel like he gets a little overshadowed with Bosa being there. Like, I don't think people realize how good Fred Warner is. So that's just why I went with him. I mean, he's a tackling machine. He's the leader of the defense while Bosa gets the sacks. I mean, he's a freak in the run game and a freak in coverage, Fred Warner. So... but yeah, let's talk more about this defense since we kind of got our deep boys in there. I think this is obviously one of the most talented defenses in the league. I think guaranteed top 5.
They were number 1 last year.
I would say they're probably still number 1. I mean, I think you could debate a couple teams, but I'd say since they were 1 last year and I don't think they really lost anyone, did they? They didn't have a lot of turnover on the defense, so...
they lost Jimmy Ward. That's their biggest loss, and they lost Emmanuel Mosley, so they lost a couple pieces in the secondary.
But they did go get Gibson in free agency, so...
Yep, and he played well last year. And Javon Hargrave, so they already had the number 1 rush defense a year ago, and then because you're paying your quarterbacks nothing, you can sign Javon Hargrave for 4 years, $84 million. And he was phenomenal last year, had 11 sacks, 16 quarterback hits. His defensive line is absolutely loaded.
Yeah, and they went out and got Farrell from the Raiders, who obviously was probably has been a bust.
When they took him number 4, man, everyone was like, "What the hell are they doing?" Like most people had him going in the 20s, and turns out there's another Mike Mayock and John Gruden swinging a mess.
Yeah, but if there's any team that could turn him around, I'd say the 49ers.
It's true. You know, go learn from Nick Bosa and them fellas.
And I think he'll have a great season just because when you have Bosa, Hargrave, and Armstead around you.
Yeah, Armstead only played 9 games last year, had 0 sacks, 4 quarterback hits. He actually was not good.
And Kinlaw's not bad either.
But Kinlaw's
Still, rotating in on the second unit,
because they have so much depth, he's fine. Yeah. But, he hasn't lived up to his draft status by any stretch.
They're deep, though, and I think that's going to...
they're absolutely loaded up front. Like you mentioned, they have Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw.
Yep.
I would say them and Tampa probably have the best linebacker cores in football. Would you agree?
Yeah, I probably have to say so. Yeah, I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. I would say it's... Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I can't think of anyone better.
I think they're probably
the 49ers.
one. I think they're one.
Because most other teams have one good linebacker, but they don't have that second good middle linebacker.
They combined for 161 solo tackles a season ago, which is
it's crazy because neither of them were even. Both of them are. Warner was the 3rd round pick and Greenlaw was a 5th round pick, so it's not like these guys were high draft capital. They just developed them, so it's impressive to say that.
That's how you become such a good team, man. You draft well, but there was an interesting selection in the draft now that we're talking about it. They took Jake Moody, a kicker from Michigan, in the 3rd round.
That's my rookie of the year.
That's your rookie of the year?
Who else could it be? Who else could it be?
Because Jair Brown, DB out of Penn State in the 3rd round.
But he's not even slated to start. They have no rookies that are slated to start. So
Cameron Latu is tight end from Bama. He's going to play behind Kittle.
Yeah, and he's slated to be the number 3 guy. The only guy that's guaranteed to start week 1 is Jake Moody. So, and the fact that they took him in the 3rd round kind of makes you think that
it's a stupid pick. It's such a stupid pick.
Why? Maybe
they don't have a lot of draft capital anyways. Why are you taking a kicker in the 3rd round?
The rich get richer.
Among first kickers off the board from 2016 through 2021, only McPherson has played more than 1 season with the team that drafted him. Mm-hmm. And only Steven Gostkowski of the Pats, which was in 2006, spent more than 3 seasons with that team.
Yeah.
So taking the first kicker off the board, it's like your fantasy drafts. What the hell are you doing? Don't take a kicker
Bro, what
first.
about when Janikowski was taken in the 1st round back in the day with the Raiders?
That's absurd. It's just positional value. You could find kickers
Aguayo was a bust. Yep.
I don't know. I don't know why you take a kicker 3rd round. It's poor team building from a team that's usually very good at team building.
Well, that's my rookie of the year, so maybe don't talk so much crap about him.
I have Jair Brown just because maybe he'll play some nickel. I don't know. I'm not going with a kicker, especially rookie kicker, because we've seen guys like Roberto Aguayo come in. What do you get out of Florida State? What do you get picked? 2nd round, and then
this offense is going to be flop. This offense is going to be so high powered it doesn't matter.
In college, though.
All Moody's got to do is be 50 on 50 on extra points. He ain't going to have to kick 1 field goal. This offense is that good. So.
Can we talk some fantasy football real quick before we move on to Seattle?
Sure.
It's hard not to love everyone in this offense. I love Brandon Ayuk. We mentioned this in the fantasy pod.
His value is the best because he could end up being, the number 1 target.
Yeah,
even if he's not, the value, where you have to take him, McCaffrey's going 1-2, Kittle's going 4th, 5th round, Debo's going 3rd round, Ayuk's going 7th, 8th, so it's
I'm taking Ayuk over Debo at their spots. Ayuk really had a good report with Purdy. He had 114 targets, 78 catches, 1,015 yards, and 8 touchdowns last year.
And I feel like
he's only gotten better.
Yeah,
I don't know if you remember initially, him and Shanahan kind of had some beef. He wasn't really getting a lot of playing time, but he's developed really well. I think this could be a big breakout year for him.
Mm-hmm. This is his 5th year, correct? Or no? I believe it is.
5th or 4th.
Or it might be his 4th. All I know is they have a 5th year option on him because he was a 1st rounder.
Yeah.
But either way, yeah. Once CMC came, we kind of saw Debo's production go down. So
yeah, that's true.
There's a lot of those carries they didn't need to do anymore because when you have CMC, who's not that Debo's not talented, but CMC is by far the most talented running back out of that backfield. If you
include the playoff games that Debo played last year, because he did miss a few with injury, it's 16 games. He had 13.1 PPR points per game, which would have ranked 27th among wide receivers. So he's if you're basing off of that, he's a high end wide receiver 3, a flex option.
He ain't going there.
I'm not taking him.
He's going as like a top 15 wide receiver.
I'm not taking him third round in fantasy drafts.
Yeah, I agree. I'd rather Ayuk.
Give me Ayuk.
Let's still take Kittle where he's going. I'd still take Kittle. I mean,
yeah, I take him with Kittle though. He's a better real football tight end than he's a fantasy tight end because he'll have some weeks where he scores 3 touchdowns and other weeks where he catches 2 passes.
He's one of those few tight ends that could take a touchdown like 80 yards to the house.
Yeah, he can. He can win you a week or he also just be a total dud. So he's very consistent. So you almost got to play matchups a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, obviously CMC's a smash play. What do you think, Purdy? Purdy's probably streamable, depending on the matchup.
He was 10th in points per game over the final 6 games of last season. So if he's your backup, I don't hate it at all.
I mean, I wouldn't have a backup, to be honest. I don't know. I don't really like carrying multiple quarterbacks. Like, in daily fantasy or in redraft leagues, when you only get 5 bench spots, I don't like having it. I mean, for dynasty,
what kind of league has 5 bench spots? That's so little.
Most of the leagues I do are 5 or 6 bench spots.
Mine are like 8.
Yeah, well, still, but I think Purdy has a lot of dynasty value too, as of now. I mean,
he could in that system. I mean,
yeah,
they're going to score points.
All right, let's move on. You got nothing else, right?
Yeah, I'm good on San Fran. Let's move on to your Seattle Seahawks that we disagree with quite a bit.
I mean, yeah.
I have them at 8-9. You have them at 11-6 and winning the division.
Yeah, I mean, it might be like a bold take, I guess some people would say. The reason
You're full of hot takes.
I'm just so high on this team. I really wasn't that high on them, and then I looked at their defense. And I'm like, holy shit! Like this defense. I don't know if people like if you get a chance, go look at their roster right now. Like this defense is loaded. I know there's a lot of question marks because we don't know what Jamal Adams is going to be like at this point, and we don't know what Bobby Wagner is going to be at this point. But I mean, Tyreek Woolen showed last year he's a beast. I mean, they went out and got Witherspoon 5th overall.
5th overall.
Yeah, and that was the first. And that was the first corner taken, and he's not even slotted to be. He's slotted in to be the nickelback too right now. And then on top of that, I mean, Reed. They got Mafe. They got a lot of talent on this defense. So that was kind of my big thing. And they went out and got Julian Love from the Giants, who I'm sure you.
I like Julian Love, big fan. He's a solid player. He's not great at anything. He's not super athletic, but he's a smart player. Mm-hmm. So I mean, he's definitely solid to have.
And Quandre Diggs too is there. So
yeah,
I mean,
maybe he's gonna be your third safety. I mean, that's pretty damn good.
So their defense is very talented, and I mean, they went out on the offense and addressed a couple holes. So, and I'm hoping Charles Cross takes another big step in year 2. So,
okay, you want to start with offense or defense? Because
we'll start with offense. Okay. I got sidetracked.
You got a little ahead of yourself there, bro.
Yeah, I was coming out.
All right, we talked about Geno a little bit earlier. I do think he's taking a step back.
Mm-hmm.
He did throw for 4,200 yards, 30 touchdowns, 11 INTs last year. Great numbers on paper.
Yeah, I mean, definitely when you throw for 42 and 30, it's...
Half of his passing touchdowns came on throws that are 20-plus yards downfield. So we know Lockett and DK can really stretch the field. That's why I think JSN's going to be very good underneath.
Yeah, and he can also stretch the field too.
Yes.
So,
he can.
That's kind of why I'm big. I mean, those are 3 stud wide receivers.
But according to Warren Sharp, not a single stable quarterback metric that Geno ranked 22nd or better than last season amongst all quarterbacks outside of completion percentage. And he was terrible under pressure and when getting blitzed. So, I don't know. I do have some Geno stats here.
All right, we'll rattle them off for the people.
I will rattle them off.
I mean, and Noah Fant there too, and the fact that they took Zach Charbonnet. I mean, I think he's going to be good too. So, I think that helps having a 1-2 punch. But I'll let you go off on your Geno tangent.
Let me shit on Geno real quick. He got worse in the second half of last season. His team started to figure him out. So they started 6-3. Geno's completion percentage was 73.1% with a 107.2 passer rating. That is ridiculous. Clearly not sustainable, right?
Yeah.
Over the final 8 weeks, they went 3-5. His completion percentage dropped to 66.4%. That's nearly a 7% drop. Passer rating dropped to 94.2. He was also second in the league last year with 32 turnover-worthy plays. So even though he threw 11 picks, should have been a lot more. I think that he's going to regress. There's going to be more turnovers. Even though I love this roster around him, I don't think I can rely on Geno to do that again.
Yeah.
Also, their running game last year was good, kind of, on paper. Like, Walker put up a lot of rushing yards, but he's the definition of boomer bust. When contacted out of behind the line of scrimmage, he was stuffed for 0 negative yards on 51% of his carries, which was 55th out of 58 running backs. Now, from week 6 onwards, he did have 904 rushing yards, was 5th in the league, and 8 touchdowns, was 5th in the league. But I think that's kind of why they took Charbonnet. He might fit what Pete Carroll wants to do more, because Charbonnet is one of the best backs in the country last year at breaking tackles and getting positive yards. That's why I'm a little worried for Walker fantasy-wise, even though I love Kenneth Walker. Shout out Sparty, shout out Zach. But
shout out to you, Zach.
They did play the 6th easiest schedule of run defense last year. Now, this is an interesting stat, okay? When they played a team with a run defense that was 22nd or worse in the league, they went 6-1. However, a run defense that was better than 22nd, they went 3-8. And they're projected to play the 4th toughest schedule of run defenses this year. We all know Pete Carroll loves playing old school football and running the ball. If their run game's getting stuffed and you have to rely on Geno to air it out, I don't think Geno's going to be able to do it this year. That's why I have him at 8-9. Even though I love their roster on paper, I don't think this schedule lines up well for them the way they want to play football. I still don't really trust their tackles. They started 2 rookies last year, which was very bold. It worked out apparently, but Charles Cross was 30th out of 32 left tackles in pressure rate allowed. And that was supposed to be his thing. He was more of a pass pro guy coming out of college, coming to Mississippi State, than he was more of a mauler in the run game. That's where my concerns lie with this offense. I do think it's very talented. I love the weapons. I do think the offensive line needs work. I think Geno takes a step back. When you go against those difficult run defenses with the way Pete wants to play, I think they'll run into some issues.
Fair enough. I mean, like I was saying before, my whole biggest reason for them taking this step up from last year and being a playoff team and potentially winning the division is more on the defensive side of things. I don't think Geno needs to go for 4,200 for them to have a ton of success this year. I think he just needs to be a game manager. Obviously, 11 picks is awesome if he throws 11 picks again this year, but like you said, there were a lot of
turnover-worthy plays. I didn't know that.
Turnover-worthy plays.
Yeah, 11 picks. You think that's pretty good?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, we'll see how it works out with the defense once we get into more of that. But I think the fact that they went out and got another stud wide receiver and they didn't have to trade up for him.
We talked about JSN earlier. Love JSN.
I mean, even if he misses time in the beginning of the year, I mean, they still have 2 other studs. I mean, no offense. Not what we hoped he would be, but I mean, he's still
solid tight end.
Solid and talented. Solid. I mean, I'd say probably top 10 in the league. I mean,
no, he's not top 10.
There's not a ton of amazing tight ends in the league.
Top 10.
That's what I'm saying. You could debate it though. Like,
I guess.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think that's a crazy of a take. I mean, there's like 5 like really good tight ends, and after that, it's like all like opinion.
I think it's more in the like the 10 to 15 range than 8
all right,
to 10.
Either way, and then Will Dissly's not bad either. I do like Big Montana as they call him. So.
Wait, but, can I touch on my outdoor game take that I said earlier too?
Sure.
This was very interesting that I saw in Sharp as well. They played 3 road games outdoors last year. They scored 7 against San Fran, which, okay, it's San Fran, number 1 defense, fine. 10 against KC, 16 versus Tampa Bay. So Geno is not good on the road, outdoors. There's 5 games this year. Something to watch out for, okay? And they're all tough games. Giants,
win. San Fran,
loss. Baltimore,
loss.
Cincinnati,
loss.
Tennessee,
win.
Your Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, I've been winning that one.
But still, it's. I do think they beat Tennessee, but still not an easy game. The way the Titans play, we know that. We talked about it. You love the Titans, and I understand the way they play games. They don't get blown out. So it's still a very tough game that they could easily lose.
I mean, all those games are against teams that. Or sorry, Tennessee wasn't a playoff team, but
they also went 2 and 4. They went 2 and 4 against playoff teams a year ago. So I don't know. I do like the defense though. You want to talk some defense? Or?
I do. I would like to talk some defense because that's why I'm so high on the Hawks, and that's why I think most people should be high on them. It's not because of their offense, because you pointed out a lot of flaws. It's just the potential of what this defense can be. But let's get into it. What's your take on the defense as a whole?
I mean, definitely very talented. We'll start up front. They signed Draymond Jones. Phenomenal, because they were not good against the run last year. That was kind of their weakness on defense. We all know they had Tariq Woolen in the back end. They have Quandre Diggs, so they have pieces back there.
Yeah,
they couldn't stop the run. Now. Draymond was 6th in pass rush win rate.
Huge.
Amongst defensive tackles. He had 6.5 sacks, 10 QB hits, and was 17th amongst all D linemen in run stuffs. All good things, all what they needed. Great piece for them to add. Uchenna Nwosu, very underrated. He had 9.5 sacks last year, 26 quarterback hits, 9th amongst all edge rushers. Not a lot of people know that name. Darrell Taylor had 9.5 sacks. We only had 13 quarterback hits, so that was kind of like Is that sustainable? That many?
That is interesting.
He had a 10% pressure rate. Like every time.
Basically, if he got to the quarterback, he was going
a sack.
down.
You know, which I don't know if that's sustainable. But Boya Mafe, second round last year in Minnesota. He only played 36% of snaps, had 4 quarterback hits, 5.7% pressure rate. Maybe you see a second-year jump. You hope so. But I'm not very high on him. Bobby Wagner is back, very on a cheap deal, back in Seattle. Phenomenal for that defense, too, like you mentioned.
They got their leader back.
He was, you said, can he take a step back? He hasn't shown it, even at his old age. He was 9th in tackles that produced a positive play for the defense last year, and 2nd amongst all linebackers in yards allowed per covered snap. So he's doing it in the run game and the passing game. They have Jordan Brooks next to him. He's very good. Devin Bush is their 3rd linebacker. Yeah, he was picked 10th overall from Pittsburgh. Never lived up to that draft status, but if that's your 3rd linebacker, it's pretty damn good.
Well, you're starting to see why I'm so high on this defense.
Yes,
though.
the defense
because
does have a lot of pieces.
They essentially just added 4 guys to this defense they didn't have last year.
Yeah.
Because they added Jones, they added Wagner, they added Witherspoon, and then my 4th guy is they're getting Jamal Adams back, who's been an All-Pro. We don't know if he can play at that level, but if he plays anything like he did on the Jets,
that's why the signing of Julian Love could be interesting, because they could almost have Quandre and Julian Love playing back and have Jamal kind of like in the box.
Because he's such a chess piece.
Kind of a rover.
You don't want the best blitzing. He's one of the best blitzing D-backs out there.
Yeah, I do think if he comes
7
back
sacks
healthy,
with the Jets.
That could be very good. Even the secondary of Kobe Bryant out of
out of Cincinnati also.
Out of Cincinnati, he actually won the defensive back of the year.
Yeah, over Sauce.
Over Sauce, because they didn't throw the ball to Sauce. They threw it to Kobe Bryant and he made plays. Very interesting. I want to touch on
so much
something with Witherspoon real quick, though, that I thought was very interesting, because they took him 5th overall, and he certainly was probably considered the number 1 corner in this draft. But he ran man coverage in college at such a high rate, 66% of the time, which was number 1 in FBS at Illinois. Seattle used man on 14% of snaps last season, which was the 2nd lowest in the league. So you take a guy that primarily runs man coverage in college, bring him into your zone-heavy scheme.
That might tell you something, though.
And, but in man coverage, I have some crazy splits here. He allowed 4.3 yards per target and a 47% completion rate, which are very good numbers. Against zone, nearly doubles to 8.1 yards per target and an 81% completion rate. So he's an athletic player. He's still young, obviously. You hope that he can develop his zone techniques, but I don't know. I just thought that was an interesting pick for them, considering he doesn't really fit their scheme, and you could see those type of splits.
Well, yeah, the only thing I could think of, maybe they're going to start going to man more often.
Tariq Woolen,
he's great.
He's phenomenal. We love talking about those big corners that can run.
Yeah. Yep.
He was 3rd in adjusted yards allowed per covered snap last season as a 5th-round rookie out of UTSA. Phenomenal.
He was a freak. If it wasn't for Sauce, he would have been considered the best rookie cornerback last year.
Yes.
You would have thought Stingley got blown out by this guy too.
Yeah.
So
we're shitting on Derek Stingley already, huh?
He's taking strays. But this, I just can't get over how talented this defense is.
It is. I love their secondary. We'll see if they can stop the run. This certainly is a good team on paper. I just think their play style, and I think Geno takes a step back, which I think they're a solid team. It wouldn't surprise me if they won 10 games. I want to put that out there. I have 8-9, but if they go 10-7 and make the playoffs, I'm not surprised one bit.
I think this is 100% a playoff team.
There,
I don't see, with how weak the NFC is, I don't see how this team's not a playoff team. Especially when you get to play 2 games against the Rams and 2 games against the Cardinals. I don't see how this team's not a playoff team. We saw how weak the NFC was last year, and it's not like any of those teams in the NFC really got that much better that didn't make the playoffs.
I think they could make, they could make the playoffs. I have 8-9, but
I just don't. I don't see how they don't make it. I'm gonna be honest, and touching on Jamal Adams a little more, he's my X factor, because if he can get back to that, even close to that All Pro level, the sky's the limit for this defense to just plug and play a guy like that. What about you? Who's your X factor for the team?
It was tough for me to figure out an X factor here, man.
There's just so many guys it could be.
I'm going to go Geno, but also paired with the young offensive tackles that they took. If those 2 tackles, Charles Cross and Abraham Lucas, take second-year leaps like we've seen a lot of those young tackles take, then I think it takes this offense to a different level.
Yeah.
If Geno's constantly getting pressured, And as teams start to figure him out more and can he keep up this Cinderella type of run, I think it could cause problems for this offense. So I'm going to go with both of them. Geno with the young offensive tackles protecting him.
Yeah, for me, my MVP and DPOY is Bobby Wagner. Like we said, he hasn't really showed a lot of signs of regression.
You got him as the MVP, huh?
Yeah, because I think he's going to be the leader of this defense, which is going to be the reason why they're so successful.
It was tough for me.
There's
to find
not a
MVP.
lot of flaws on their defense right now. You pointed out a decent amount of flaws on the offense, but right now, so I think their defense is going to be the reason why they're in a lot of these games.
Well, they struggled last year against the run. They added Draymond Jones and Bobby Wagner, so that should fix that issue.
Yeah.
My MVP was Draymond Jones because I think if he goes down, this defensive line gets pretty
no.
thin considering they lost their 2 interior guys from last year, Al Woods and
So the
Shelby
Jets.
Harris. So I think their defensive line depth can get a little thin, and they might not be able to rush the passer as well. So that's why I have Draymond Jones as my MVP.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a bad pick at all. Obviously, he was a beast in Denver last year, so we'll see. But what about from a fantasy perspective? What are you seeing from this team?
I do like this receiver room for sure. DK set a career high in targets last year and receptions, so they kind of used him more as an all-around wide receiver as opposed to being more of a vertical threat. Like I mentioned earlier, something I'd like the Steelers to do more with George Pickens, not just sending him down the field, but actually run some more routes, get him some more underneath targets. Helps fantasy-wise. Solid wide receiver, too, in my eyes, but I do think JSN's going to eat into some of these targets.
Yeah,
And
well,
Tyler-
whenever he comes back.
Yeah. And Tyler Lockett's just one of the most slept-on guys in fantasy. Like, you see him on the draft board, no one wants to take him. He always slides.
Yeah,
He's
he
been
went way into the early 100s last year in my league. That was
Dude, he's been
PPR.
wide receiver 16 or better the past 5 seasons. Like, that's absurd.
Yeah, and you probably want to say right now, oh, well, JSN's there, so that's going to end.
But he might eat into his targets.
Yeah,
but then again, Tyler Lockett shows that it doesn't matter who's there.
Yep.
He gets his. So I
no
like
matter what, he's a
these. I
steal
like
at
these
his value.
receivers. Yeah, it is tough to trust the running back room though, especially because neither one of them is necessarily known for their pass catching abilities. The fact that they took Walker in the second round and then went and got, which we touched on, kind of his boom or bust ability earlier. Then went and got Charbonnet, who
In the second round also.
in the second round. I mean,
So it's not like,
they're
Walker was the first round. Yeah, they're both the same capital given up.
So, I mean, if they're both healthy, I can't imagine either one of them getting more than 15 carries a game. I think it's going to be a pretty fair timeshare.
Yeah.
Even though Pete Carroll wants to run the ball, and they're going to run the ball a lot, I don't know if you could really trust him as one of your top 2 running backs. Maybe a flex play.
Yeah.
But then again, if they're not scoring touchdowns, it's kind of a dud week. So
Yeah.
I'm fine with any of the 3 pass catchers, probably avoiding the backfield.
I mean, I would take Charbonnet the shot on him. I mean, like I already highlighted, the ADP is nothing crazy. I mean, to take him like at the 130s or whatever, like it's one of your last picks. I think it's worth the risk. Walker's pretty risky because he's going like 50s, 60s, so it's like
He's going way earlier.
way earlier, and it could easily be like a 50-50 timeshare, or like a 60-40 in favor of Walker. But I mean, I just don't see how it's not close to a timeshare. I don't think they would have drafted him in the second round if they didn't want it to be a timeshare.
I hate to say it because I love Kenneth Walker and I love Michigan State, but
Shout out Zach Tom.
wouldn't be surprised if Charbonnet, by the end of the season, is getting more carries than Walker. 39.5% of his carries last year resulted in a first down or a touchdown, and he was one of the best at breaking tackles. I mean, Walker shows when he gets hit behind the line of scrimmage, he's not really making much for himself and breaking those tackles, but if he has a seam, he's a home run threat. So, different styles, kind of, but I think Charbonnet, the reason they took him the second round, he's kind of more of a Pete Carroll style of back.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah,
that.
and I will say, Seattle's defense, I mean, take them in fantasy. I think so, dude. It's so talented. I think they have so many guys there that they can produce a lot of turnovers.
Arizona or LA.
Yeah, I think there's gonna be a lot of weeks where you can play them. I mean, at San Francisco, I wouldn't play them, but there's gonna be, and obviously, like we highlighted, like Cincinnati, Baltimore. But I think there's gonna be pretty much most matchups this season where you can definitely play them. So
That's fair. All right, I'm good on Seattle.
yeah,
You good?
so we're gonna take a short break and we'll be back. Hey everybody, so we recently started adding polls on Spotify on who you guys think will win the division. So if you guys don't mind, just vote on that. We kind of like to see what your guys' thoughts are, and there's also a questions tab on Spotify. So if you have any additional questions, you can ask us on Spotify. Thank you.
Wow, Reagan, that was an even better ad read. Really proud of you. You've been practicing in front of the mirror. It usually takes you 15 takes.
Yeah, this time it just took me 16 takes.
All right. We're back with the Los Angeles Rams. Before we talk about them, can we just talk about all the players this team lost? I mean, my goodness. Jalen Ramsey, gone.
Oh my.
Allen Robinson, gone. Leonard Floyd, gone. Bobby Wagner, A'Shaun Robinson, Troy Hill, Taylor Rapp, David Edwards, David Long. They basically lost their entire secondary, including one of the best corners in football. They lost an edge rusher, their star linebacker, an interior player. They couldn't afford to sign any of them back.
And guess what? None of that matters because Tyler Higbee's still there.
Yeah.
Luke Young, when you know, you know.
Yeah, that was crazy. Tyler Higbee dropped like 36 points to
Yeah.
keep Reagan out of the toilet bowl. And
Yeah, he sent it. He sent his
honestly,
ass
last
home
year.
to Newton crying.
The most expensive contract they gave out in free agents this year was backup quarterback Brett Ripon. A 1 year...
Rippin'.
My bad.
Okay.
Brett, if you're listening, my apologies. A 1 year, $1.1 million deal, bro. That is crazy. That's the most expensive deal they gave someone from
And that's
another
why
team.
he's my key ad for this season.
They have $74 million in dead cap, which is nearly a third of their entire budget, the second most in the league. I mean, what is there to like about this team? I have them at 5-12. They have the 18th most difficult schedule. Stafford was terrible last year. We know there was the elbow injury,
Yeah,
but
and there was injuries, but yeah, still.
he dropped back.
got it.
Back.
Drop back, ready?
Significantly
DROBBACK
when
S.
when he was
Try it
kept-
again. Say it again.
Dude,
Drop.
can I say my
backs.
point, goddammit? Thank you. When kept clean in 2021, he was 5th in the league. Last year, 28th. Inside the pocket, 2nd in 2021, 34th last year. Against man coverage, 1st in 2021, 45th out of 47 quarterbacks last year. He was bad. And outside of Cooper Kupp, they have barely any weapons. You mentioned your boy Tyler Higbee, but he's an average tight end. They got my boy, go Gators, Van Jefferson as their wide receiver too.
Let me see it.
Good chomp, baby. Good chomp. The offensive line is awful.
Those are some good chomps.
Easily bottom 3 in the league. Their starting tackles are terrible.
Yeah.
Joe Noteboom, 10% pressure rate last season, 34th out of 35 qualifying left tackles.
Well, at least he wasn't
Right
35,
tackle.
right?
Rob Havenstein was 28th out of 36 right tackles in the same metric. Awful. Terrible.
Their O-line's definitely not amazing. I will say that. And, I mean, I don't hate their weapons. I mean, Cooper Kupp's not bad. Van Jefferson...
What do you mean Cooper Kupp's not bad?
He's
Cooper
not
Kupp's
bad.
phenomenal.
I mean,
He's
I'd
a
say
top 5 wide receiver. Outside of that, they got...
I mean, I think you could make a case that he's top 3. I mean, he's not bad. He's not great, but I mean, he's definitely like top 3. But Cooper Kupp's obviously there. Michael Batoff. I mean, Ben Skoranek. Sorry.
What the hell?
Van Jefferson's there. What do you think about Puka Naka?
Did you just talk about Ben Skoranek as like, yeah, their weapons aren't bad, and you go Ben Skoranek, dude?
I mean,
they're terrible. They're
all
terrible.
All I know is Ben Skoranek and Baker Mayfield are the reason why I got kicked out of my Survivor pool last year against the Raiders.
That was awesome.
So I ain't gonna be. I will do nothing but respect to Ben Skoranek.
I will say Akers did have a crazy run towards the end of last
Yeah.
year, which kind of came out of nowhere considering
can
they had
I,
no one healthy.
Can I highlight
But,
that real quick with Akers? I mean,
When he wait, I have a bad thing to say about him first before you.
let me say
start
the
talking
good thing
about
because you said you were talking about his run. Those last 3 games of the season, he had over 100 rushing yards in those games. He only had 786 yards on the season, and almost half of that, like 40% of those yards, came in the last 3 games of the season.
Well, he led the league in rushing over the last 6 games in the season.
Yeah,
I mean, he was 8th in expected points added per rush and 10th in success rate.
and
Pretty
he was
good
coming
numbers.
off an injury going into the season.
He
so
was. He
factor
had
that
the
in.
Achilles.
So
I will say, though, when contacted at or behind the line of scrimmage, he was stuffed for 0 negative yards. 43% of his carries, which was the 12th worst in the league out of 42 backs. Not good. Similar to Walker, can't really create for himself if there's not a gap there. And it was very weird that he didn't have this type of success when Stafford was healthy and Kupp was healthy, like the year prior and even earlier this season. Because...
I mean, he got so much volume though. He had 20 or
that's true. He was getting all the volume because who else was gonna get the ball?
21 and 19 carries. I mean, he had like over 60 carries in the last 3 games.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think he could have had more success with the volume.
I don't know,
but he did average 4.2 yards a carry on the season. So
it's fair. I don't see him keeping that up though. To be honest, behind this offensive line.
Yeah.
And when you have a terrible offensive line in front of a 35-year-old quarterback that had the elbow injury last year. Phenomenal in 2021. Last year he was terrible. Can he stay healthy at that age, dude? I mean, I don't know. I think they're going to beat down on him. Defensive fronts. I don't trust him to stay healthy. And basically all of the money that they're paying players is going to Donald, Kupp, and Stafford. So if one of those
Rippin,
three
and Rippin.
and 1.1 million. If one of those guys goes down, they're screwed. And they gave Stafford that monster deal after they won the Super Bowl to reward him, but now they're trapped because he's getting paid a shit ton of money against their cap, and they have no depth behind any of their players.
You know what I'd like to see? If this team ends up sucking, which they probably will. I mean, I'm a little higher on them just because...
Are you going to say Stetson Bennett?
I would, yeah. I think it'd be kind of cool to get to see what he's made of.
What a weird pick, man.
I mean...
He's just like... I mean, he was good at Georgia, but who wouldn't be good in that offense with those players, man? He was 25 years old.
I'm not that athletic.
Yeah, we know that. He's 5'11".
How do we know that?
5'11".
How do we know that? All right, next episode's on the football field. I'm running the combine. But yeah, no, I think it would be interesting to see what he could do.
Dude, this team is so bad that I have their rookie, and they didn't have any draft picks really either. I have their rookie of the year, Steve Avila, freaking guard from TCU, who's solid, known for his run.
What, you didn't want to take Tanner Brown, the place kicker, or Ethan Evans, the punter? Or how about the long snapper, Alex Ward? That just tells you how they had no cap. That the fact that their kicker, punter, and long snapper are all undrafted rookies. Or I'm sorry, their punter was drafted in the 7th round. Ethan Evans, if you're listening, I'm sorry. That wasn't cool. But that just kind of tells you like how bad their cap is, that they couldn't retain any of their special teams guys. So they had to address it with their last pick and go get undrafted free agents who's probably making under $1 million.
Yeah,
so
100%.
I mean, for me, my rookie of the year was Puka Nakua.
That's funny.
Am I saying it right?
That's your boy. You can't even say his name right.
I mean, I do have him on my fantasy team. I mean, he was at a BYU, so they produce talent. Obviously, my boy Zach Wilson's from there, and also my boy Tyler Algier, starting running back for the Falcons, is there. So they obviously produce talent there. But more so, that was just the fact that, like, I think with how we've seen injuries in this wide receiver group, like Van Jefferson's
he can get a shot.
Injury
he can certainly get a shot.
Ben Skoranek, I mean, I was hyping him up before, but honestly, he's nothing special. I mean, Tutu Atwell hasn't panned out, and Cooper Kupp obviously is a beast, but he's getting up there, so I think he has a clear path to get some targets in this offense. So that's fair. What I'm saying.
I thought Steve Avila he's going to start right away on the offensive line, and they really need help there, so I just picked Steve Avila. He's going to have the biggest impact this year.
Fair enough.
Let's touch on fantasy for probably 15 seconds.
Well, we got to get into the defense a little bit first.
No, let's do fantasy because it'll take 15 seconds. Take Cooper Kupp. He's going to take a ton of targets. Maybe Tyler Higbee because no one else can get targets.
Higbeast?
That's all I'm doing for this team.
No, I'd take Akers. I would take Akers.
I'm not touching Akers.
All right, fine. We're not touching him.
He's just been very inefficient. He had a 6-game stretch last year. You can't bank on him. I don't know. Especially behind a terrible offensive line.
I don't know if they can give him that volume. I still would take the shot on him.
I mean, if I'm in the hundreds, maybe, but that's it.
Wow. Sorry, Cam. He's not taking you.
Now we can talk defense.
Damn.
It is Aaron Donald, and that is it.
Yeah. I mean, Fuller, I guess.
I guess.
John Johnson. Yeah, John Johnson's not terrible.
I'm telling you, on the defensive line, you'd have to look up the depth chart to know the guys are lining up next to Donald. No one was going to know these guys unless you're a Rams fan. I'm being dead serious.
You guys know... All right, everyone listening right now, we'll go through the projected starting lineup, and then we'll see if you know him. Colin, did you know Marquise Copeland?
No.
Did you know Bobby Brown?
No.
You know Aaron Donald?
Yes.
That's cap. Byron Young?
No.
Ernest Jones?
No.
Ernest
Jones is a line. I was just talking about the D line, but I mean, I guess you want to go the entire freaking defense.
Well, I'm just telling you, that's how many names on there that a casual wouldn't even know.
Dude, they're starting at corner. They're starting Darion Kendrick, who was a sixth round rookie last year, played 44% of defensive snaps. He was 85th out of 87 corners in adjusted yards allowed per covered snap.
So you're saying he wasn't the worst, is what I'm hearing. There was one guy worse than him.
Robert Rochelle was a 4th-round rookie in 2021. Played 2% of snaps last year, and he's projected to be the corner too.
Okay.
Kobe Durant, 2022 4th-round pick, was actually pretty good last year. 4 receptions on 10 targets with 2 INTs from week 13 on, so maybe they got something there.
That's why he's my MVP.
I mean, I don't know, man. They lost Jalen Ramsey, Taylor Rapp, Nick Scott, Troy Hill, who played a combined 2,200 snaps last season in the secondary.
I mean, yeah, they had a lot of losses.
They're going to get absolutely torched It's Aaron Donald and nobody.
Yeah.
And their offense, we just touched on, they can't block anybody. They got a 35-year-old
Aaron
quarterback.
Donald
It's
just
Cooper Kupp
retires?
and no one else.
Like, what if he just retires and it's just like, fuck it?
I actually love this team under 6.5 wins. I think they went 5-12 last year. I don't see them being any better.
Yeah, I had them at 7-10, but after kind of going through this more, I think I may have to relook at it. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit higher on them, but then when I took a deeper dive into the defense, I really didn't realize how bad the team was. So I'm gonna be honest,
they have no depth. This is what happens when you go all in. You know,
that's
they got
a bad
their
take
ring.
on me. I mean, honestly, after going over this defense, this might be the worst team in the league. Like
on paper, it might be. Like
on
outside
paper,
of 3 players, it is.
Yeah, on paper.
Maybe Arizona, who we have to talk about next.
The Cardinals have a lot more guys I like. I mean, I might flip them with the Cardinals. I'm not even joking. Holy shit, this team is bad.
Yeah, very bad. All right, let's not waste any more time on this pathetic ball club. But they
Whoa.
got their ring. They got their ring in 2021. This is the
pathetic ball club. You hear that, Rams? You might want to pull up on Colin Tong.
Let's go to the next pathetic ball club, the Arizona Cardinals.
Jake Batoff's favorite team, first off. Just want to highlight
a
that.
lot of key losses here as well. DeAndre Hopkins, Zach Allen, interior defensive lineman, J.J. Watt, Rodney Hudson, Byron Murphy, Justin Pugh, A.J. Green, Marcus Golden. This team definitely has the worst defensive front in football. We just mentioned they lost Golden.
Yep.
Watt
retired.
And Allen.
Yeah, and Murphy, too. And they lost Murphy in the secondary, like you said.
Yes.
I mean, wow. Between them and the Rams, they're battling out to see who could lose more guys. That's crazy, bro.
Let's first talk about the offense. We kind of mentioned Kyler Murray earlier. What would you do if you have the number 1 pick? I'm taking Caleb Williams for sure. Kyler had his worst season in the NFL last year, career lows in yards per attempt, success rate, accuracy, touchdown rate, first down rate, target depth, and his second lowest completion rate of his career at 66.4%. And on passes thrown 20-plus yards downfield, he was last out of 35 quarterbacks in basically every metric. He completed one of his 18 longest pass attempts. That's not good.
No.
And that's pre-ACL. Now he's coming back off the ACL.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that, I don't, I mean, this team's not very talented. I think Kyler's very talented. Sorry, I had the hiccup, but
I've had the hiccups all night, bro.
Yeah, I think Kyler's. I still think Kyler's very talented. I mean, this team around him isn't great, and I think the team when he was going back when he was an MVP candidate 2 years ago was a lot more talented. So
absolutely. I mean,
I think
he
that is
loved
a big
D-Hop.
factor.
He loved D-Hop.
Yeah,
I mean, I will
D-Hop
say
is huge, but I do think Hollywood's a beast.
He was
Dude,
good.
we saw in that 6 games without D-Hop how good he was. His numbers, he was insane.
5th in receptions, 7th in receiving yards, 3rd in touchdowns.
I had him in
before
fantasy,
D-Hop
dude,
came back.
which makes me excited for him, although we don't know when Kyler will be back and how long it'll be the Colt McCoy show. I do want to talk about Clayton Tune. Out of Houston, I know college football.
Yeah, there
Watched
you go.
the bowl game
There
last
you go.
year. I think he's pretty talented, and I think, honestly, like, if you're at that point and it's like, all right, do we want to roll with Colt McCoy, Clayton Tune? If they're like, all right, Kyler, we're not bringing you back, I say they give Clayton Tune a shot. That's why I have Clayton Tune. You ready?
Don't say it.
You ready? As my no, I have Clayton Tune as my rookie of the year. What, you thought I was going to say as my MVP?
I mean, I think that's just very bold because I think it's Paris Johnson, clearly. He's going to start at either guard or right tackle because they need help on the offensive line, and they took him 6th overall. They traded back and then traded back up to get him. Like, that's how highly they thought of him.
Mm-hmm.
He's definitely going to have the biggest impact. But then again, if Kyler doesn't come back this year and they give Clayton Tune a shot, I mean,
it's
I
just
can
like
see it,
it's
but
just
I
so
can
much
also
easier
see him
to say
throwing more touchdowns and picks.
It's just so much easier to say a quarterback's going to have a bigger impact than a tackle because people just don't really know how to gauge offensive lineman impact versus quarterback's impact.
That's fair.
It's a lot easier to be like, oh, Clayton Tune sucked, or oh, Clayton Tune was good, versus like the linemen. It's easier to hide when they suck, and it's harder to see when they're insane.
I will say James Conner, not explosive. He's a bruiser between the tackles, but he's solid in yards per carry. The guy scores touchdowns. He is 28 years old now. So,
but they don't really have anyone else there. I mean,
they don't.
Keontae Ingram, who they drafted last year. I mean, Corey Clement, beast. Tyson Williams who I'm pretty sure he was okay on the Ravens, if that's the same Tyson Williams. And then so they really don't have a lot of guys there, so I don't see why James Conner isn't like getting 80 to 90% of touches. I mean, I don't think he's going to come off the field much.
Yeah. So he might be a decent fantasy play. Just
I think he'll be good for fantasy.
Pure volume.
Pure volume, yep.
I mean,
but he showed he could be a good pass catcher too. So
he can.
I think he's going to have a lot of value in fantasy, as will Hollywood. And I think if Kyler comes back, like I've said earlier, like in the last episode on the fantasy football, like I think he's smart to stash at the end of drafts. So, and Ertz is gone. I'm surprised. I don't know why.
No, Ertz is back.
Is he? I thought he retired.
No, he's back.
Oh. Well, I don't think he's going to have the starting job for long because I think Trey McBride's pretty talented, and they took him in the second round last year, so that's a lot of capital to give up. I think he takes it over from Ertz because I just think Ertz is on his last leg at this point.
It could happen. I could certainly see that happening.
What about the O-line here? What do you think about that? I mean, obviously you highlighted
we talked
Paris
earlier
Johnson.
the two bookend tackles. Hopefully, Paris Johnson lives up to his draft status.
And obviously,
you got
DJ
him. He's the
Humphries
future left tackle. He'll take over for DJ Humphries, but DJ Humphries is good right now. The interiors,
Will Hernandez,
they lost Justin Pugh. Will Hernandez is terrible, former Giant, absolutely terrible. This offensive line is very bad. It's not as bad as the Rams because of the two tackles they have, but it's still very bad in the interior. And you're unproven at right tackle. It's hard for rookie tackles to make that adjustment. But yeah, this team's not going to win many games. I have them at 3-14.
I have them slightly better at 4-13.
Yeah,
and that's half because I'm expecting Kyler to play some games.
Yeah, I don't know. But that's the thing. We don't know when Kyler's going to play, but this is the biggest reason why I think they're not going to win any games, and it's the defense.
Yeah.
Can we talk defense?
Yeah, we can get into this amazing
We'll do it.
It's still better than the Rams, I think.
Let's do it quickly. Let's just say how bad they are and move on. They allowed the second most points against a season ago.
Okay.
And I think their defense got worse, and they faced a top 5 schedule of opposing offenses this year. And they lost their best corner and their best 3 defensive linemen.
Yeah.
How the hell are they going to stop people?
I mean, their secondary's still not terrible.
How are they going to stop people?
At least they have a decent secondary versus the Rams.
Dude, they lost their 3 leading pass rushers, J.J. Watt, Marcus Golden, Zach Allen, who accounted for 51% of the team's pressures.
L.J. Collar's not terrible.
Dude, what do you mean? He's awful! L.J. Collier they signed him from Seattle. There's a reason they let him go. They picked him in the first round because he's terrible. Second round pick B.J. Ojolari is going to... Yeah.
Oh, my God.
You sound like a casual there.
Oh, my God. I'm sorry. Holy shit.
Did you even know he got picked in the first round?
I knew he was from Seattle. I'm sorry.
Second round pick B.J. Ojolari.
Have some optimism here, buddy. I was trying to play devil's advocate here to at least give some Cardinals fans some hope, but Colin apparently has zero hope. There's not any of these defensive linemen you have no hope for?
Dude, only 3 of them. 3 Cardinals had 20-plus quarterback hits last season, and they're all gone.
So you're done?
They lost their best corner. Yes, they have Isaiah Simmons, who was 11th in coverage yards allowed per coverage snap when he played in the slot.
Player.
So when they put him in the slot, he did play well. But I think he's playing... Is he playing safety?
They got him at nickelback right now.
That's where he should be. He's a very good nickelback. Buda Baker's elite.
Yeah, Marco Wilson
is He's all right. Antonio Hamilton is
What do you think about Zaven Collins?
He was pretty good last year, actually. They picked him in the first round, but that's the thing. He was 9th in run stuffs and 5th in yards allowed per coverage snap. So, he was actually a very good backer last year, but that when we talked about the Niners, where they got Fred Warner later in the draft, it's about positional value. Look at this team. They have the worst defensive line in football and one of the worst offensive lines. When you're drafting the top of the draft, stop taking off-ball linebackers. You can find them later on. You can hit on them there.
Yeah.
It's not how you build a team.
Well, wasn't Isaiah Simmons came in as an off-ball linebacker?
Well, they took Isaiah Simmons at 7th overall.
Yeah.
You got to take quarterback, tackle, receiver, corner, edge rusher. Those are your premium positions in today's NFL. Don't go tight end. Don't go off-ball linebacker. Don't go safety. Don't go running back. Because every team that does that, look where they are. You got to build through the trenches. Eagles do it phenomenally. The Niners do it. Every good team does it.
Yeah.
So that's why this team is in such a terrible position, and they're going to be awful this year. 3-14.
I think 4-13. So I'll have to disagree with you there.
And we already mentioned what we would do if, I had the number 1 pick. So we don't need to touch on that again.
No, yeah. That's the perks of answering those questions early on. That took a lot of this. We were obviously a little bit shorter on the Rams and the Cardinals, but that's because we also highlighted a lot of the big talking points early on.
Yeah.
But
take their unders, boys.
Yeah, the Cardinals I'd probably just stay away from because 4.5 is
4.5 tough. Rams 6.5 definitely under.
Yeah, that's definitely a little different.
Under.
The Cardinals at 4.5. If Kyler plays the majority of the games, I think they could get over 4 wins. Over 4 wins.
I still don't think they win 5 games if he comes back. If he plays more than half the season, maybe.
Yeah, 5
maybe. They're not stopping anybody.
Yeah, but 5-12 isn't.
They're gonna have the worst defense in football.
Well, I think the Rams.
Maybe the Rams.
I think the Rams could make a good case, but
they're terrible. All right, that concludes the 4-team division breakdown. We'll be back with trivia.
What's up, guys? It's Joe here. Thanks for listening to Around the Felt. Make sure to fill out those Google forms. Ask the guys some trivia questions. Colin's been stuffing me in lockers all week because you guys haven't been doing enough, so I really would appreciate the help. Thank you.
Wow, Joe, what a courageous ad read. That was amazing. I mean, that took guts, man. But
we are back with trivia. Big dogs up top, 3-2, as it should be.
I am up 3-2. I am the big dog.
You little fella.
How am I a little fella? Are you kidding me? How tall are you? 5'11"? I'm 6'1" last time I checked.
No, not true. My doctor says I'm 6 foot. All right, Joe, what's the first question we got here?
Who's going first?
Your doctor also says
Champ goes first.
Your doctor also says you have angry issues.
Okay.
That's a different doctor.
Your doctor also said you need puberty till 21.
The doctor didn't need to tell him that.
Sorry.
All right. Who did the 49ers draft with their
start.
first pick in 2017? Sorry to cut you off.
Who's up?
Their first pick in 2017.
Big dog, you got it?
Eric Armstead.
No.
Solomon Thomas?
Yes, sir. Wait.
Oh, sorry.
Jets. Sorry, feeding him Jets question.
Sorry, I didn't hit puberty back then, so I watched a lot of football.
Oh, that's so good.
Oh,
all right, you're up 1-0.
Yeah, I know.
Who is the Seahawks' leading receiver in yards and receptions?
When?
All time.
Oh, I didn't know if it was last year. Doug Baldwin?
No.
Okay.
He's not even top 3, bro.
All right.
Oh, man. This one's tough, actually, I feel like.
Yeah, clearly.
Tyler Lockett.
No. He's actually number 3 on their yards list.
You gave it a good...
Steve Largent.
Oh, Steve! How did I forget about Steve?
13,000 yards in his career.
Wow, okay. Respect, Steve. What we got next?
Okay.
Why I oughta.
What was the original city of the NFC West team, now known as the Arizona Cardinals?
Oh, okay. I was about to get pissed. I thought you were asking the one about the Rams.
No.
I was going to be like, what the fuck, dude?
Do you know it?
Maybe.
He's staring at you like he does.
I don't think you know it.
He's sticking his tongue out.
Houston.
No. Reagan? For a chance to go up 2-0.
Wow, I feel like an idiot.
You had all that time to think, and now you're thinking?
Yeah. Come on.
Indianapolis?
No. The city
Baltimore.
was Chicago.
Chicago!
And then they moved to St. Louis and then Arizona.
Wow, that's amazing.
So.
Well, Colin didn't know it, so I don't feel that dumb. He's so smart.
I actually knew they were in St. Louis at one point.
That's tough. That's so tough. All right, what's next?
Okay. Who was the last Cardinal to rush for 1,000 yards, and what was the year?
So I can get it right, but if I have the year wrong, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Get the year, get the question, and the player.
I'm going to go with David Johnson, 2018.
No. 2016.
I was going to say 2016, bro.
That was stupid.
Shout out to Hugh Chavez for the question.
Good question, Hugh. Is that your boy?
No.
No. Hey.
Is that a new fan? We appreciate
so.
you, Hugh.
Maybe he's friends with Jake. I don't know.
I don't know. Hugh had a good question or a good question earlier about JSN too. Hugh, thanks for getting active out there with these questions. That was a good one.
Yeah, good
All
stuff,
right,
Hugh.
still 1-0.
Yeah. Who is the Rams' all-time leading rusher?
Eric Dickerson.
No.
What?
Dude!
Well, who is it, Reagan?
Marshall Falk.
No, also.
What?
What are you doing, bro? Todd Gurley?
No.
Todd Gurley? Guy played like 3 I don't know.
years.
Those are like the 2 big names.
Steven Jackson.
Oh my Steven! Shut up, dude. Shut up. The fact that you said Marshall Falk when it wasn't even your turn.
Definitely thought it was.
If it was Marshall Falk, I would have gotten that point. Don't say shit when it's not your turn. Shut up.
All right, this question.
does what Champ
I made
wants
this
to do.
one. I like this one.
Okay.
Who was the player who caught the infamous play, later referred to as the catch in 49ers?
Wait, the 49ers player that made the infamous play called the catch?
Well, Joe Montana threw the pass.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, for some reason I thought you were referring to like in the Super Bowl with Seattle.
No.
Okay. Oh man, I have no idea. I guess I'll just say Jerry Rice.
Lynn Swan.
No.
No.
Oh no.
Dwight Clark.
Dwight.
Yeah, 49ers legend.
Wow,
guys.
dude, I feel like such an idiot today, but at least I have a point.
Oh my god. This is a pathetic performance from the champ today.
Who's up next?
The champ. Question number 4.
You?
No. Wait.
Me, I'm the champ.
Yeah, come on. All right.
Yeah.
Who did the Rams draft with their first round pick in 2016?
Todd Gurley.
No.
That was actually your answer?
What's your answer?
Not Todd Gurley, I can tell you that much.
I swear, if he gets this wrong.
You've no
He
idea.
has no idea.
You have no idea. You talk all that shit, you have no idea.
Oh, man. Ow. Duh.
Done.
No.
He's done.
No, hold on. It was a quarterback. It was a quarterback.
4, 3, 2.
Jared Goff.
Yes.
Oh, I talked all that shit. Shut up, dude. 2-0, going to me. Shut your mouth. Ooh, ah. Sorry, monkey.
That was ridiculous.
Sorry, just gotta.
It's
been heated.
This trivia's gone off the rails.
Which team all-time leading scorer is not a kicker? So it's which team has a player whose leading scorer is not a kicker?
Well,
And which team is it? And what's the player?
Oh Jesus.
Well, that would be gives me 4 teams.
4 teams.
So we already
Do the
narrowed
math.
it. We already narrowed it down from 32 to 4. So we're already getting somewhere on this question. Let's think of good kickers. Who had a good
think
kicker?
about good players that played for these teams.
Yeah. The Cardinals never had anyone good. No, actually, Larry Fitzgerald.
It's not Larry Fitzgerald.
Yeah, I tried. You know, I gave it a.
Well, shouldn't you go with the team
But hey,
first?
I mean,
Wait, was it the question was team or player?
Team, player,
which team's
year.
all-time leading scorer is not a kicker? Who is it?
So you just want the team?
And who's the player?
Yeah, Larry Fitzgerald, Cardinals. Who else would I? What other team would I have been talking about with Larry Fitzgerald?
Yeah, but you should have asked. You should
All
have
right,
said
I'm
team
sorry.
first.
All right, guys. Cardinals, Larry Fitzgerald.
No, but
Well, they're both wrong.
Yeah.
okay, that's what I wanted to know. If the Cardinals was right or wrong, because the way
Yeah.
you said it was
Okay.
Cardinals were right. Okay.
Oh, so we're just giving out hints now. There we go. We got.
Well, no, it's just narrowed down.
That's so dumb.
There's some good players that played for these teams.
5, 4.
3.
3.
I'm gonna go 49ers.
Who's the player?
Jerry Rice.
Yes, it is.
Oh, come on, little fella, shut the fuck up.
All right,
Little
2-1.
fella is fucking trembling.
Okay.
I'm still winning, so.
Okay, now it's back to me. This is round
2-1.
5, right? 2-1.
Yep.
This is round 5.
Who is the NFC West all-time leading rusher?
Well, I know it's not Eric Dickerson.
Yeah.
Good times.
I doubt that it's gonna be Steven Jackson again.
You never know. He's
He's
smiling.
narrowing his down the list.
Joe was smiling when you said that.
He's narrowing down the list.
You should say
I
Steven
don't
Jackson.
think there's anyone on Arizona.
Okay. Look at you, Narrow.
Narrowing it down.
Look at you, Narrow, buddy.
I still don't know who it would be.
I know who it is. Can you just go so I can answer it? I actually have a really good idea. It's probably wrong, but I still think it's going to be it, unless you say it. All right, there's got to be like a...
All right, fine.
Marshawn Lynch.
No,
But it was the Seahawks. It was Sean Alexander.
it's not.
Oh.
That was
was
a
on a
really
Madden.
good guess.
He was on a
Gore.
Madden cover. Oh,
Frank Gore!
I was thinking Gore.
I got to the Niners and I was like trying to think. How did I Frank Gore?
I thought right when you said Niners, I'm like, he's got it.
Oh,
No,
my
I
God.
honestly just didn't think Frank Gore, like,
Dude,
would
this
have
is
been it
so
for the night.
bad. How
Yeah,
did I not
we're
get
such
that?
casuals.
We're always
How did
around.
It's a late night. It's been a long day.
Yeah. All right. If
So
I get it
Steve
right,
will
I
win?
win. If we both get it wrong, I win. If he gets it right, we go to sudden death, which is probably going to happen because it always happens. Because we do it for the clicks, guys. We always
Frank
tie on
Gore,
purpose for
man.
the clicks. Oh, I didn't mean to say that.
I might want to switch this question up because it's actually super easy. This was from, I think, Jared.
Wow. So you're going to switch it up because you won.
All right.
I mean, this is like a cherry pick.
what is it? Who had the Legion of Boom?
No, that's not that question.
If it's so easy.
I don't want to ask it, though.
No,
because,
come up with another one, but I still want to hear the question.
All right, it's what NFC West team has the most division titles?
Oh, okay, come on.
Yeah, so.
I don't know.
Let me get a good one. Right?
Maybe the 49ers?
Do you know how many?
I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe like 8?
16.
No. Closer, Colin.
It doesn't matter because that wasn't the question. But I would have won anyway.
I would have won the whole thing if I guessed how many division titles they had.
Was that the question?
No, but I would have won.
Everyone would be like, yo, he won! He won! Sound off in the comments.
Uh-huh.
So you got a question for us? Or we...
Yeah, man.
I just want to end the podcast on a good note, Stop looking up... Dude, you always have to cheat. Like, this kid's constantly looking up answers. I fucking called you out. You're looking at now, common NFC West trivia questions on ChatGPT.
I have no other tabs open, dude.
Okay, ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Who is the NFC West running back that was nicknamed the fastest man in football?
Who is
running back?
Who you got?
I know it.
No.
It's your question.
I'll let you have it.
All right, yeah. What am I?
I'm kidding.
Because he doesn't know it.
Sean Alexander?
No.
Eric Dickerson.
No.
Yes! Eric Dickerson is killing me tonight! Oh, and God! He's like...
You're going to get mad, too, because you did guess this guy, Marshall Falk.
Oh, my God.
Oh, hey, Colin! Fuck you! L.
All right, 3-3 on trivia.
The best thing, hey, everybody, who saw that? He was like, I know it. I know it. Eric Dickerson.
This
like,
guy screwed me.
No.
I also thought you were going to
Eric Dickerson is screwing me tonight! Shut up. Fuck you. 3-3. What do we got next, Colin? AFC West.
AFC West.
AFC West. And the good thing is, since we're going to have 9 episodes with that fantasy football one, we will have no tiebreaker on the trivia. We will have one winner on it.
That's
3-3.
It's neck and neck.
Let us know in the comments who's winning this trivia thing. I think me, as an unbiased Reagan fan. What do you think as an unbiased Reagan fan?
I'll come out ahead, no worries. All right, well, thank you for watching, guys. Thank you for listening. We'll be back the next pod next week.